Hello there. First of all, I'd like to apologize for the quality of these photocopies. I didn't realize that they were so lousy until I opened up a packet myself. I don't know if there was ink, if the ink was running low on the photocopy machine. I might have actually sent through a copy of a copy, which would have affected the overall quality. But anyway, these are drawing exercises. They're really seeing exercises, anything more than anything else. They're seeing exercises. So just like exercises that you might do in gym class, they're about making your mind and your eyes stronger. This grid, the grid technique, is good at getting our brain to see things. Like specifically the shapes that I highlighted with the highlighter that are created by the grid. A grid is a series of squares or rectangles or some other sort of quadrilateral. And when my brain sees those shapes, like that little triangle or little D shape, it accesses a different part of your brain and can help in drawing. So before you start drawing, though, I would like you to lightly put diagonals through each square. I brought out the folder to show you that if you don't have a ruler, you can you can use anything that's straight, like the edge of a envelope or junk mail or something, piece of cardboard. The reason I would like you to X out each of the squares is that will help you find the exact center of each square. And it breaks the grid down even further. I find it to be really helpful to do this. Now, if you had basic art with Mr. Sandstrom and you did those large charcoal drawings, I believe you just broke everything down into squares and you didn't have these diagonals. So what am I doing right now? I'm trying to see that little tiny triangle. The first and second grids in the first column are easy because there's nothing there. So the first two, you just skip them. Right now I'm just showing you that there's different ways to hold your pencil. When you choke up on the pencil and you hold it with a tripod grip close to the tip, it will give you a thinner line. When you hold it way out at the edge, and like I'm doing here, it's going to give you a little wider line. Oh, what was I doing there? Oh, I forgot one diagonal, so I just kind of free-handed it. So the grid is going to, especially with these additional diagonals, it's going to get my brain to just see like it's kind of like a shark fin. I don't know what that is. It's a triangle with a curvy hypotenuse. And then you just go one square at a time. Try not to think of necessarily, a person's face. Now, the packet that I gave you is made up mostly of American cartoons and Japanese cartoons. Cartoons are good for these exercises because a cartoon is a line drawing. So in the world around us, there are no lines. There is only light and shadow. But my brain tells me that where one value, one color bumps into another, that there is a line there, but there really aren't lines. When you look at a cartoon, somebody has already taken the world and simplified it into lines, a point in motion. What was I saying? Oh, it's mostly Japanese cartoons or manga. Manga is the Japanese word for comic. When a comic is moving, when it's animated, then it's called anime. But sometimes people just call all Japanese cartoons anime, which is fine. And then there's American cartoons, specifically from a type of comic that was a complete commercial failure. In the 1950s, there were these comics called girl romances, and the demographic was teenage girls. They were like soap operas. They were like romance comics, and nobody bought them. So the superhero genre really took off for Marvel and DC, but they also in the 50s they had these kind of soap opera comic books, and nobody bought them. They were commercial failures, and so you could buy them for really cheap, or sometimes they'd be in bargain bins, or people would just toss them out. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry you have to see that. My gross long COVID hair because I have not haven't gone to get my hair cut ever since. It's almost a year now. Why don't I just shave my head? Because I got an ugly skull. I'll tell you, because it's my I got like dents in there. I've shaved my head before, and it's even worse than having long, gross hair. So I digress. There's some issues with my grid drawing. I feel like the nose. Yeah, look at that. And on the master copy, the tip of the nose goes a little further. Well, I'm not that off. I'm not that far off, but the area right around the nose looks a little bit off. The upper lip looks off. But it doesn't have to be perfect. It's an exercise. Like I said, something you might do in Phi-Ed. Jumping jacks, for example. You're never going to be a professional jumping jacker. But a jumping jack gets your heart going, and it's an exercise. It gets you ready to play a game, or it's like a warm-up. Or somersaults, or like sit-ups. You're probably not going to be a professional sit-upper. Or jumping rope. I guess, I don't know, is a jumping rope, is that like something you can... Well, anyway. So these are exercises, and when they work, you'll kind of lose your sense of time. If you were in North Fond du Lac for elementary school with Mrs. Tzakis, she might have done observational drawings based on right brain, left brain theory, or that may be something you've never heard of. But this is all, the grid works because of a theory on how our brain is divided into two halves that really experience the world in different ways. And the grid can help us to get into the right hemisphere, which is almost always subordinate. That means the left hemisphere takes over for most tasks, but the right hemisphere is good at seeing things as they actually are at the present moment. So when you don't think that I know what an eye looks like, an eye is supposed to look like this, because that's your left brain. Your left brain says that an eye is a football with a circle and a dot. But your right brain will just see the actual shapes, the ink on the paper. I hope that made some sense, and I hope you can find one or two of these that look like they would be a fun challenge. And best of luck to you. Bye-bye.